What's up, and welcome to Unspoken Conversations. I'm James Crow, and here we talk about issues and situations that are in plain sight. Things that people hate to talk about, but it needs to be said, from relationships, families, friends, and life. Our goal is to shed light and understanding so that just maybe we can start to rebuild relationships, families, and ultimately, our communities. So, today's topic, I wanted to talk about how important it is for a father to be in a daughter's life. When a man has a daughter, he is her first standard. He's her first love. So as long as this man brings substance to this little girl's life and stays consistent all through, her teenage years and on into adulthood, what happens is everything she sees from dad, she carries into her adult life with her friends and her boyfriends. He is her first standard. So everything she learns about a man is supposed to come from her father. Her father is supposed to teach her how a man opens doors for a woman. Her father is supposed to teach her that a man walks on the outside, closest towards the curb when they're walking down the street. He's supposed to teach her all the things that a man is supposed to do for her as she's growing up and going into adulthood. When this doesn't happen, she has no point of reference. And when a little girl turns into a teenager who turns into a young woman with no point of reference as to how she's supposed to be treated, she'll fall for anything. She'll take any type of BS from any type of man, and she has no point of reference. She has no idea what she's supposed to be treated like. So when these women have these, not all women, but when these women have these kids, especially these daughters, and they have these daughters without men being present, good, strong men, not just men, good, strong men being present in their lives, they strip away from that daughter, from this little girl, the very importance of what is supposed to happen in her life. And I get it. Some women don't want to have a man in their life. I get it. And I hate to, excuse me, I hate to say that some women and some little girls are doomed, but hey, I mean, if you choose to do that, that's on you. Me personally, I don't think a little girl is supposed to grow without her dad. A dad is supposed to teach a little girl how to cuddle. You know what I mean? How to cuddle. Her first love is supposed to be her dad. And for y'all to thinking that in a predatory type of way, man, y'all, yeah, go ahead and get out of here. But the father is supposed to teach her how to cuddle, how to be loved. He's supposed to teach her how to love a man back. You know what I mean? When she loves her dad and she respects her dad, she'll respect her man. She'll respect her husband. And if she's treated right by her dad, she'll know how to be treated right by her boyfriend, by her male friends. She'll know how to be treated, and she won't have this idea that men are trash and all guys are trash. It will never get to her some of the negativity and some of the bullshit that some of these girls go through because dad would have been there to stop it all through her young teenage and to her late teenage and her early 20s and late 20s. Dad will have been there to stop it. As this little girl grows into her late teens and she wants to get a boyfriend, dad's supposed to be there to say, "Baby girl, I seen you got a boyfriend?" And she says, "Yeah" or "No." That's this little, who's your friend? Who's your little guy friend? And she's going to say, "Dad is this, he's that, this is my guy friend," whatever. What happens is dad's supposed to be in her life and get her to bring this little boy around. This little boy is supposed to shake her dad's hand and let her know, "I care about this girl." Let him know, "I care about this girl. I like this girl." By meeting her father, this little boy now sees that this man is going to have her back. He ain't going to allow no type of BS in this girl's life. He's going to stand behind her. So you want to bring that BS over here, you're going to have to deal with me. I ain't going to allow it. Which the little boy is going to then tighten up. He ain't going to be on no bullshit because he don't want to deal with this girl's dad. So That is another one of the reasons that you have to a man has to be in his daughter's life, and a little girl has to have her father present. Has to. If it's a bad dad, different scenario, but you have to get this little girl around a good father figure. He has to, whether that be an uncle, whether that be a brother, whether that be a whatever type of man. It could be, I don't. There's plenty of male figures that can be in a little girl's life who can teach her and stand in the role of a father. There's plenty of men out there, but the women have to be able to talk to these men, and we can go down a long line of the woman and the man, but we're not gonna do that. So when this girl grows into her, let's say 20s, her late 20s, mid 20s, early to mid 20s, if this little girl has picked up from her father all the goods on how to identify what's bad and what's good in a man, what happens is her boyfriends start to change. It's not so kiddish anymore. Now she has a purpose for the guys that she's seeing. She has a purpose for her life. So the guys that come around her, she's gonna identify. Yep, those are the games that Dad was talking about. I've seen that before. I know exactly what that looks like. When she starts noticing, oh, this guy likes dressing up. This guy likes looking real clean. When I say real clean, I mean like fuckboy clean. When this little girl sees that, she's gonna start to change how she thinks about those type of men. It's not gonna be appeasing to her. It's not. She's not gonna like that. She's gonna look at this dude like, ugh, gold teeth. Yeah, that's raggedy. He's got 20 gold chains around his neck. That's not cool. That's not. Nah, he wears socks with flip flops. That's not cool. How you gonna wear that outside? Like, she's gonna start to see all the things that Dad has been teaching her in those younger years, as long as Dad was consistent with her and teaching her these things, and she was paying attention. If Dad was consistent and she was paying attention, she's gonna get it and she's gonna carry it on through her life. Now I guarantee there has been some women who's like, yeah, I heard all Dad's teaching, but she still went her own way. We're not talking about them, though. We're not talking about them. We're talking about the girl who actually gets it. That father that puts those stepping stones in her life is gonna be there to guide her. I don't know if you know about the statistics of like the father and a man, a father and a dad, a father and a boy's life, and a father and a daughter's life. They say the father keeps the dad out of gangs and out of the streets. And they say the father, keeps the little girl off the stripper pole and out of little boys' beds and out of the backseat of little boys' cars and shit like that. So when you understand that father, he has a different way of teaching the kids. The father, he has a different way of showing authority. And it's not through beating, it's not through punking them. It's not that. A father, a good father, a real strong man, a good man, has a way of being like, baby, listen, we're not doing that. We don't do that around here. No, I ain't raising no hoe and I ain't raising no punk ass little boy. You know what I mean? So this man can instill just a little bit of fear. So some of y'all don't like the word fear when you're talking about a parent with their kids. Y'all don't like this word fear. But without the understanding of fear, you don't have consequences. And anyone without consequences, without the true definition of consequences, you're doomed, dog. You're doomed. You might as well give it up. Think about this. You don't have consequences at your job. You can come late. You can do whatever you want to do for as long as you want to do. No consequences? Well, they ain't going to keep you forever. Nah, you got to have consequences. You get pulled over by the police. You act up. You got consequences. So how can you say that you don't think your kids should be afraid of the parents to some degree? If they're not afraid of the consequences, they're going to carry that on through their life. At teens, their 20s and 30s, they're not going to know the concept of consequences. And they're just going to be fucking off everything. So your kids absolutely need to be a little bit afraid of the parents because they're scared of the consequences, whether that be timeout. Get your ass in timeout. Whether that be mom, dad gonna beat that ass. Don't be fucking up because dad don't play that. Dad'll get you. We don't cuss around dad. Dad be tripping. You know what I mean? Regardless of what the consequences are, when a kid grows up with consequences, they have a different type of lifestyle. They live their life a little bit different. You know what I mean? Think back in the 80s. The 80s babies, I don't know about 70s because I was born in 78, but 80s, I would say 80s and 90s babies, they a little bit different. We a little bit different. We understand that we get knocked the fuck out. We get beat the fuck up if we got out of line with our parents, or we got out of line in school or with the neighbors. Yeah, we get snatched up. Neighbor beat that ass, they'll bring us home, and then mom and dad beat that ass. And we grew up understanding, don't be out there fucking up because you don't make mom and dad look bad and you're going to get your ass beat. You know what I'm saying? Nowadays, these kids will go out here and stomp, kick, dents in the neighbor's car, and then the neighbor goes and tells the parents, and the parents will get mad at the neighbor. What? Really? So it's a different day and age we live in, man. And these parents ain't really doing anything with these kids, and especially these fathers. These fathers ain't handling these kids right, and they ain't handling these little girls, especially these little girls. The father is supposed to be able to teach a little girl how to date. You know what I mean? A father's supposed to be the one who shows her, man pulls out the chair, shows her what chivalry looks like. Pulls out that chair, let her sit down and slide her chair in for her, shows her what to dress like, he not necessarily shows her what to dress like, but gets her to understand that by dressing up, by acting as if this is a real date, then you know how to date later on. That father asked this girl these real questions and then have these real conversations, these what ifs and what type of scenarios and all this. Because what it does is it gives her the opportunity to think deep. And when it gives her the opportunity to think deep, then she knows how to talk to and communicate with the guy that she chooses or the guy that she lets choose her. It lets her use her mind to open up and explore the possibility of what could be. You get what I'm saying? And she's not just, my thoughts are exactly what it is and that's it. Nah, dad's he's gonna push her. He's gonna test her to think. You know what I mean? And it has to be that way. A mother can do it also. It's better for a mom to date her boys, to date her sons, because she teaches them how to treat women. It's better for a dad to raise I ain't gonna say to raise, but to date his daughters, because it's easier for him to teach her how to treat men, how to be a good woman for a good man. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, a mom can do it, but how can a mom tell a daughter what a man wants? You know what I mean? How can a dad tell a son what a woman wants? He can't. A dad can tell his son what not to be. He can tell his son how to be a good man. He can tell him that. But he needs to be around his mother so she can tell him what women like. You know what I'm saying? And a little girl needs to be around her dad so he can tell her what guys like, what men like. Because there's a lot of things that men don't like in a woman. But the women nowadays have it in their mind that what they think a man wants is what a man wants. And it don't work like that. If you didn't get that information from a man, I guarantee you're wrong. It's just how it goes. You know what I'm saying? Men know what men want. You know what I mean? And men will pass it on to other women because men talk. We talk. We communicate. We communicate with our friends. We communicate with our sons, uncles, and everybody else. So we talk. We know what we want. And the last place that information comes from is from a woman. It just, y'all can't tell us what we want. It don't work like that. Just like a man can't tell y'all what y'all want. So when you understand that, you start really diving into exactly what this thing is, you know what I mean, and how to get in the heads of these kids, especially men in the head of these daughters, you know what I mean? Teaching your daughters the ins and out of a relationship, teaching your daughters, like a lot of people don't believe me, or don't I ain't gonna say believe me. You don't understand the concept of the 30-day rule. Not the 30-day rule, my bad. The 3 stages of dating. There's 3 stages of dating. The first stage of dating is you got to be around, you have to talk to the person. You have to get, it doesn't matter how you meet, where you meet, whether that be online, whether that be in person, none of that matters. But you have to get all the information from a person. Now, stage one, you're not meeting up, you're not going out, you're not dating these people, you're not going nowhere with them. You know, you might meet them in person for the first time, but you don't go do nothing with them. Stage one is talking. It's just simply talking. You're getting all the information. You're connecting all the dots. You're collecting as much information as possible. Taking notes. You're just taking notes, asking hella questions, dumb questions, stupid questions, great questions, good questions. Just asking questions so that when stage two comes and you're actually going on dates, you're hooking up, you're actually going to go do things, whether that be to the movies, to the library, on walks, picnics, out to eat, regardless of what it is. Stage two, all you're really doing is connecting the dots, making sure everything they said in stage one matches up to stage two. So in stage one, if a girl says, "What is your relationship like?" Ask the dude, "What is your relationship like with the girl asks the dude, "What is your relationship like with your mother and your father?" Right? If he says, "My relationship with my mom was trash. She was never around. I hate that bitch. She treated me like trash. She walked out of my life." If this man can disrespect you, disrespect his mother right in front of you, then he'll disrespect you. You don't want that type of man in your life. You don't want that. Flip that onto a dude, right? If a guy, a boy, son, asks this girl that he's dating, "What is your relationship like with your dad?" And this girl says, "I hate my dad. He was trash. He was never around. He used to beat my mom. He used to cheat on my mom and all this. I hate that dude. He was a piece of shit." Well, if she can talk like that about her dad, her father, she'll talk like that about you. So those are some of my tips on red flags and some of my non-negotiables. I won't date a chick who disrespect her father. I just won't do it. Now, if she didn't have a father, I'll ask her what she thinks about her father. I would ask her what she thought about her father, how she dealt with the fact that her father wasn't around, and listen to what she has to say about him. If her tone changes, if her attitude changes, if her demeanor changes, if what she has to say about this guy is negative, most likely she's going to have some resentment and some daddy issues. The resentment's a problem. Daddy issues ain't so bad as long as she's been working on it. But everybody don't work on their daddy issues. Some people hold that shit and they bury it. And they keep that shit down inside. And when it comes out in the form of anger and aggression. I ain't got time for that shit. I don't have time for that shit. If a chick has got daddy issues, that's just as bad as a dude with mommy and daddy or mommy or daddy issues. This motherfucker is dangerous. Dangerous as hell. A dude with daddy issues, mommy issues, dangerous as hell. Chicks just as dangerous. So when a mom can teach that too, but when a dad teaches that to a daughter, it doesn't come off in the form of emotions. It comes off as logic, baby. You got to understand these questions are very valid. You have to ask these questions, and you have to get certain types of feedback from the guy that you're talking to, and you have to listen. You got to pay attention to what he has to say, because it ain't the answer that's important. It's the response. How he responds will tell you everything you need to know. So when you understand that, then everything you know about listening to what a person has to say, you'll disregard that. You'll listen to how they have to say it. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying how a person says a thing is important, but the response to the question that you ask is very important, because a person can tell you, "No, I didn't have much to do with my dad. I didn't like my dad." Or they say, "I don't like my dad. I ain't have nothing to do with my dad." You see, there was two different, I said the same thing two separate ways. And that second one, now you be like, "Hold up, what you mean you didn't have much to do with your dad?" Now you just ask the question and they have to respond to the question. And when they respond to that question and that response is, Nah, he was this and he was that. Now you down to the meat and grits. You get this person to say what it is you really need to hear them say. You know what I mean? So stage one is just talking, getting as much information as possible. Stage two is going out on dates, actually linking up, making sure that everything in stage two matches stage one. Stage three is when you actually take the time to be a little bit more affectionate, to be a little bit more touchy, feely to see if the vibe is going to connect in all three, first, second, third stage, to make sure everything links up, whether that be just getting a little closer towards the sex part or actually indulging. And it doesn't matter if it happens or not. You just got to make sure that you're ready for stage three. Most people do it backwards. They hit stage three and then they hit stage two and then they hit stage one. But by the time they hit stage one, after stage 3 and 2, it's too late. You already in a relationship. Now you ain't asked this motherfucker no questions. So now you 3-4 years in before you asking these questions just to find out this motherfucker hated his mom or this motherfucker hated her dad. And now they disrespecting you. You should have asked them questions before. But you jumped into stage 3 too soon. So though there's you know there's a way to do a thing, and a lot of women don't know that. So they fall victim to a lot of bullshit from men because men wasn't taught that shit either. But if a daughter wasn't taught that, she don't know what to accept. She don't know how to tell a dude, "No, I'm not coming over your crib. I just met you 2 days ago." You know what I mean? If a girl don't know to say that to a dude, what the fuck she gonna fall for anything? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I would tell my daughter, no, you don't go on no date with no dude. You did stage one. Stage one's supposed to last a minimum of 20 days. A minimum of 20 days. Now, you cross that line and you take it 5 days and then you turn it into stage two after 5 days, you're going to realize you made a bad mistake. And you may not realize you made a bad mistake until 2 years down the line. All right, you get what you asked for. You get what you asked for. Wait it out. You know what I'm saying? Wait it out. It's no different than buying a shirt the perfect size. Buying a shirt the perfect size. We all know what happens when you buy a shirt the perfect size. You wash that motherfucker one time, that bitch ain't gonna fit no more. You know what I'm saying? One time, that bitch ain't gonna fit no more. Cause you bought it the perfect size. You know what I'm saying? You supposed to buy that bitch a little bit too big, just a little bit too big. And if you wash it straight out the gate without wearing it, it should fit you perfectly, and it should stay about that spot right there. Well, same thing on a relationship. You know what I'm saying? You do all the research, you get everything out the way up front, and then on the back end, everything should already be. It should fit just right because you did what you were supposed to do in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? You checking all the dots. You making sure everything is just right. If a father can teach his daughter that, she'll be winning. She'll be winning as long as she can see and spot the right things in the right dude. She'll be winning. You know what I mean? And the right man that meets this woman will have a good thing. You know what I mean? And we'll talk about the boys later. We'll talk about a son later. Well, I guess I already did a video on the sons, but not so much about dating. But yeah, as far as a daughter, it's very important to have your dad in your life because he is her first date partner. A dad is her first everything. He's the gold standard. He's the one that sets the standard. How he treats her, every man should be trying to follow her standpoint. When that dad spoils her and babies her and all that shit, her boyfriend are supposed to do the same thing. She can get with a dude that don't want to do it, but she's supposed to be like, look, I got some non-negotiables, and I can't deal with a man that can't at least treat me like my dad did. And I'm not saying dads that baby their daughters. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about dads that babies their kids on in adulthood. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about dads that raise actually good women. And they teaches them what to be like, what to think, how to think, and shit like that. That is going to be a good daughter for someone. If the mother was teaching her and the father was teaching her, and the mom didn't get in the way of what the dad was teaching, the dad didn't get in the way of what the mom was teaching, because they both teach really great points. When that works, when that happens and it works, you'll have a great daughter. She'll be good. So I really believe it takes both parents. I'm a strong believer in it takes both parents. You know, when a dad ain't doing his job, it shows in her dating. It shows in her dating. The type of guys that she falls for shows you her dad wasn't around. And that's sad, but that's really what it boils down to. Yeah, thanks for watching.
They are so full of the cap, man. I can't take it, need to